Hello my dear friends and especially my ICSE students 2022. Constructors is one of the most important chapter that is included in the first semester of ICSE 2022. A lot of hard work has been put in to create this video which covers almost every part of constructor chapter. I hope each one of you give all the correct answers in this MCQ session. For this, your basic knowledge of constructor should be crystal clear. If anyone has any doubt or any confusion in understanding this chapter, then please go through the constructor videos of E-SHIKSHA's playlist Constructors in Java. So, without delay, let us enjoy this session. A class called numbers has a constructor which initializes the data members will be named as number 1 NUMBERSS, NUMBERS. This is like the class name only. And the third one is NUMBERS, but the initial letter is in capital. And fourth one is NUMBERS. The whole thing is in uppercase. From this, you have to choose the right answer. Now, we all know that class name and constructor name is same. So, the class name, if it is NUMBERS in small letter, so the constructor name also will be NUMBERS in small letter, and it will have a parenthesis at the end. So the right answer is number 2. Constructors are dash called upon object creation. The four options are explicitly, implicitly, openly, normally. The answer would be implicitly. It is automatically called upon object creation. The access specifier for constructor can be public, private, protected. It can be public or private or protected. So the closest answer is the fourth one. It can be public, private or protected. Question number 4 is, the body of a constructor may have other valid Java executable statements apart from data initialization. Option 1 is no, number 2 is yes, number 3 only conditional construct, number 4 only jump statements can be there. So from here you have to choose the correct answer. The answer is yes. Normally in a constructor we initialize data members, but if I want I can keep other Java statements also. Question 5. There can be dash number of constructors in a class. First option 1, then 2, then 3, and number 4 is numerous. The answer is numerous because number of constructors will depend on the programmer's need. Okay, so the answer is fourth option. Question number 6 is, constructor has dash return value. Option 1 null, option 2 no, number 3 void, and number 4 is boolean. We all know that constructor has no return type. So the right answer would be number 2, that is no. Question number 7 is, default constructor and non-parameterized constructors are the same. Now all of you know that default constructor is actually provided by the compiler when you don't define any constructor in the class. Whereas non-parameterized constructor is actually written by the programmer. Therefore, the question default and non-parameterized constructors are the same would be no. Question 8 is object cannot be created if you do not define a constructor in a class. Options are no, number 2 in special cases, 3 yes, and number 4 is none. Now all of you know that when you don't write any constructor in the class, then your compiler provides a default constructor. So object cannot be created if we do not define a constructor in the class is not true. So the answer would be no. Question 9 is dash constructors accept value or values from the user. Default, parameterized, non-parameterized, and friendly. So the answer would be parameterized constructors accept values. So question number 10 is dash constructor is provided by the compiler. Number 1 is default, number 2 is parameterized, number 3 is non-parameterized, and number 4 is none. The answer would be number 1. Default constructor is provided by the compiler. Question number 11 is presence of multiple constructors in a class implements dash feature in Java. Number 1 inheritance, number 2 encapsulation, number 3 abstraction, and number 4 is polymorphism. So the answer would be number 4 polymorphism. Question 12. The argument in the first line of a constructor definition are called parameters, number 1, number 2 formal parameters, number 3 actual parameters, and number 4 arguments. So the right answer would be formal parameters. Question number 13. The number of actual parameters can be different from the number of formal parameters. Is it yes, number 1, number 2, no, number 3, if the actual parameters are of all different data type, and fourth option is if the actual parameters are of all same data type. Here the answer would be no. The number of actual parameters can be different from the number of formal parameters. It cannot happen. The answer is no. Question 14. The work of the constructor is to number 1 run the program, number 2 initialize the data members with legal values, number 3 debug the source code automatically, number 4 make the class public. The work of the constructor is to initialize the data members with legal values. So the right answer is number 2. Question number 15 is the default constructor initializes the Boolean variable with number 1 0, number 2 1, number 3 true, number 4 false. When it is a Boolean variable, either it will be initialized with true or false, but the default constructor will initialize the Boolean variable with false. So the fourth answer is correct. Question number 16. Constructor is a part of a number 1 method, Number 2, constructor itself. Number 3, class. Number 4, interface. Constructor is actually a part of a class. Answer 3 is right. Question 17. The default constructor initializes the string data type to number 1 with a space. Then you have NULL in capital letter. Then you have number 3 NULL in small letter. And number 4 is \0 within double quotes. Default constructor initializes the string data type with null, NULL in small letter, that is lowercase. Answer 3 is right here. Question 18. The default constructor initializes the char data type to number 1 space or null character, number 2 null, number 3 with a tab, number 4 new line character. It is number 1. It will initialize with a space, that is a null character. Question number 19 is to create object of DVD class using default constructor. We have to write the statement. Number 1 is given something, number 2 is given something. 4 options are given and you have to choose the right answer. Now the syntax for creating object is class name, then object name is equal to new class name, that is constructor name, which is same as the class name. So out here, which one will go? DVD, okay, object name is alright, is equal to new DVD, but here you are calling the default constructor, and constructor is a method. At the end it should have parenthesis, not box bracket. The second one, DVD DO. Now DO you have taken as object name, which is a reserved word, so this is also incorrect. Number 3, DVD OB is equal to new DVD, so this is okay because class name object name is equal to new constructor name, and constructor is same as the class name, so number 3 is right. Question number 20. The common feature of non-parameterized and default constructor is number 1, both accepts values from the user. Both do not accept values from the user. Only default constructor accept values. This is third choice. And fourth one is only parameterized constructor accepts values. So the common feature is non-parameterized, that is it will accept no value. And for default constructor it will be given by the compiler, so there is no chance to pass any value. It means the common feature is number 2, both do not accept values from the user. Question number 21. Which unit of a class gets invoked when the object of a class is created? Number 1 is default constructor, number 2 parameterized constructor, number 3 non-parameterized constructor, and number 4 is any one or any of the above constructors. Here it can be any of the above constructors. You can create number of objects. You can create object with default constructor, you can create object with parameterized constructor. So the right option would be any of the above constructors. Question number 22. A dash is a membered method that gets invoked when the object scope ends. So number 1 is destructor, number 2 constructor, number 3 data members or variables, number 4 methods. Okay, so here the right answer is destructor, which will deallocate memory space. This is question number 23. This question is a little different. Here you have to read the Java code and you have to choose the right output after invoking the main method. So the code is given, you have to invoke the main method, and the options are also given here. Number 1, swapping the value of C and B. Number 2, swapping the value of A and B. Number 3, swapping the value of A and C. And number 4 is A, B and C all having the same values. When you get this kind of questions, you try to do the dry run. Here on the right hand side, you see I have drawn a table where I have each and every variable that I am using in the program. So you are invoking the main method. So when you are invoking the main method, means the constructor, the first line, it will call the constructor, the parameterized constructor, and it will pass 2 and 4 as actual parameters, and these values will go and it will be stored in the formal parameters int x and int y, and x value then it goes in A and y value goes in B. Then after doing so, it is again calling ob.test. So test method is getting called. C is equal to A. So whatever you have in A is getting stored in C. Then whatever you have in B is getting stored in A. And then finally, whatever you have in C is getting stored in B. At the end, you will find what? These two yellow columns you see, A had 2, B had 4. It is actually getting interchanged or swapped. So, answer 2 is right, swapping the value of A and B. Question number 24 is, methods are same as constructors. Number 1, yes. Number 2, no. The answer would be no. Question number 25. You cannot run a program if a constructor is not defined in a class. Yes, number 1. Number 2 is no. You have to choose the right answer. You can run the program because the default constructor will be provided by the compiler. So the answer would be yes. This is question number 26. Read the Java code and answer the following questions. Okay, so 4 questions are there and the code is given. You can have a look. This is private int x, public get output int a. This seems to be a constructor because it has no return type. Then one evaluation is given and then you're printing x is equal to the value of x and system.out.println a is equal to whatever a's value is. And then you are creating another method called func, right? There you are creating obj object of the class this, and when you're creating the object you're passing value 4. So you're actually calling the constructor. So when you call the constructor, that is get output, you are passing 4. So here, if the constructor name is get output, the class obviously will be what? Get output only. So you can declare the class. The first question it is asking, name the class in which the below code may be defined. So we can write class get output. This can be the class name. What value will the variable a store when the object is created or generated? So when you are creating the object, you are passing 4. So a's value would be 4. Third question is, what value will the variable a stores after the code gets executed? Okay. So you see, when you are calling get output, this constructor, you are passing 4, fine. But after that you see x is equal to plus plus a plus minus minus a plus a. As a result of plus plus and minus minus, the final value of a would be 5. You can do the dry run. And the last question is, what will be the output if the below code is executed, assuming that method func is called from the main method? So suppose you have main method, from there you're calling the func method. It will show you x is equal to 14 and a is equal to 5. So this is little tricky question and you have to be very smart. First you do the dry run and you answer all the questions.